Shut up, compressor. Hey everyone, Matt here with Duke's Models. In this video I'm going to walk through how I go about building paint masks in Adobe Illustrator. So how I get to this sort of final output here, in this case for the F104, and in this case for the KI44, from decals and all that kind of stuff. Now the important part of this is these vector files in Illustrator can be sent to cutting software to put them onto vinyl so that you can then stick them on the model and paint your markings instead of relying on decals. As you can see with the outline view here, all these lines are the lines that the cutter will actually go ahead and cut, so this comes out looking all nice and pretty and ready to go. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so over here in Photoshop, I've gone ahead and, as you can see, cut up two different decal sheets into one file. Down here at the bottom is essentially some elements from the Hasegawa sheet that came with the KI44 we're going to be using for this example. This is all 1/32 scale. Up here in the top are decal elements from a lifelike decals sheet in 1/48, because there aren't really all that many great options in 1/32 scale, which is a frustrating thing with these World War II Japanese aircraft. But thanks to math and essentially multiplying by 1.5, we can get these scaled up to 1/32 scale, which they now are. So the whole goal of this is to have essentially a base that we can play with to recreate masks in Illustrator. Now, a quick note before we move on, I use decals to base my building of the masks on, and I view that as fair use. When you buy the decal sheet, you can do what you will with it. That said, I do not at all advocate taking decal sheets, tracing them into masks, and then selling those masks. This is essentially a personal use only type of affair. So buy the damn decal sheets, support the cottage industries, and if you want to build masks off them, great. If not, just don't be an asshole. Okay, so in Illustrator, we're going to create a new file. 8 3/4 by 10 is about right, given the size of the scanning bed and understanding that the Silhouette Cameo that I do my cutting on has a 12 by 12 board. So that's well within parameters. Go ahead and create that. Now it's time to bring in that scanned file. So for that, we're going to go to File and Place. Grab File. Drop it in here. Drag it so it's in the artboard. And we are going to embed it. Just like that. Okay, now the key in order to manage the tracing and all that sort of stuff of this is to open up the layers and go down here and create a new layer. So we can call this one, let's call this one Large Hinomarus. Okay, and then we're going to go to magnify so we can see what the hell we're doing. Now, there are a couple ways to do this. One way is to use the measuring tool, which is that little ruler right there. Kind of take this across and see essentially how big these are. So we're looking at about 1.11 inches across. Maybe 1.115-ish. So then, because these are pretty simple, do an ellipse tool, just draw any kind of size, and then up here we want to do 1.115, 1.115. From there, we're going to go ahead and link those together. turn off the fill for now. We're going to give this a black border so we can see what we're doing. Now, there are two main selection tools in Illustrator. There's the selection tool, which is V, which selects a whole shape, and is very good for sort of dragging things around and whatnot. You can see here we're pretty much on target for size. So that's good. Now that we're there, we can go ahead and, just for kicks, fill this in so that we have everything where it should be. Now, if we were to go to check and see what this would look like when we cut it, we can go to Outline View and see we've got a nice circle right there, just like that. So go back to the GPU preview. Now, in terms of creating some more custom shapes than a frickin' circle, let's go ahead and recreate this anti-glare shield, because we're going to want to have a mask for that so we can at least space it and mask it out on the actual aircraft. I like to separate the elements to layers so that way I can kind of focus on each one at a time. And this is where we bring in the pen tool. Now, there are options for doing image traces and things like that with decals. And what happens with image traces is it goes in here and it tries to see, okay, here are all the outlines and whatnot, and it puts in a ton of different anchor points. You know, sometimes hundreds per shape, which kills off the whole benefit of vector because you have a bunch of jagged lines everywhere, and it's a pain in the ass to clean it up. I find it's a lot faster to come in here with the pen tool, and all you do with this is you just go where you want to go, place different points in here. You don't have to worry too much about being precise because you can always move these around later. All right, I need to get rid of that. Now we have a shape that we can play with. So we go back here to the selection tool, we grab this. I'm going to go ahead and make this red so I can see it against the background, and I'm going to make it smaller so that it's not taking up so much space. Switch over and zoom in even more. Okay, so now we've got, as you can see, this. Let's see, I'm going to go and get rid of that one anchor point right there. Okay. So now we've got, as you can see, sort of a star kind of shape outlining the glare shield. But the glare shield is curved, and these are not. So we switch to the direct selection tool, which this allows you to select individual points. So we're going to select this guy, go up here, and we're going to convert this to curved anchor point. We're going to do the same with this one. And this one. And what these let you do, as you can see here, they let you do these nifty bend things. And when you drag on these handles, you can change how big the curves are. So drag it back to the anchor and you get straight. Let's go ahead and get all these. Might have to go in here and add in another anchor point or two. Yeah, I did this a day or so ago and it wasn't that bad, but when you're doing this on a screencast, it's a little bit different. All right, let's go ahead and at least get these guys going. Yeesh. You can see you can kind of bend this to where you want it to be. Pull it out a little bit more, like so. You basically just do that until you get to a point where you're happy with it. Oh, forgot to. Okay, so like so. Now let's go check on these front ones up here again. All right, let's zoom in a little bit more so we can get a better sense of what we're working with down here. Then we go up to this one. Again, basically it's a game of anchors and moving the anchors and shifting the curves just a little bit. As you can see, the green line shows you where they're going to line up. Like so. And then if we zoom back out, so Alt, click, 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 get out to a point here where you can see the nice shape. And then go to outline view and you can see this is what it will cut. So voila, you have the anti-glare shield. So that's two of them. Let's do another quick example here, and then I think hopefully everyone will have a good sense of what we're trying to accomplish. All right, so let's have a go at this 3. Now, if you look at the masks that I did for the KI-44 already, the 3 is broken out in 2 parts. You have the front part that I have here in yellow, and the back part, which is the shadow element. So I actually traced this twice. We're just going to trace this once for the purpose of the video because it's essentially the exact same thing. So with curves, if you can anticipate them, which takes a little bit of practice, you can kind of come in here and skip a whole bunch of stuff. So there's our ugly, nasty shape. Now, quickly, before I do anything else here, I'm going to go ahead and just give this a color so we don't lose it. So let's make the stroke red again. We're going to make it 0.1, so we have a little bit of things to play with there. Now we're going to go back to our direct selection tool. Make all of our curves Again, if you drag that handle to the anchor on whatever side you want to say straight, it will make it nice and straight. I'm sure there's probably some other cleaner way of doing that, but I'm not aware of it. So, yeah. Okay, so now we've got kind of the loose shape of the 3 in place. We might have to go in here and add in an additional point or 2, but I don't think so. All right. That's the one catch of this, is if you miss the anchor points and you end up accidentally grabbing the background layer, it'll just move that. So have the Control Z key ready to go at pretty much all times. All right. So I need to move this one up just a little bit. One thing I noticed on this is it's really hard to go up just a smidge, so it's easier to kind of move an anchor point out and then come grab it again and bring it back. Put this one out here. If I remember correctly, this one ended up being a bit tricky. When you zoom in more on that, it's tough to really see some of these little curves. All right. Yeah. Where were we? All right, let me get the rest of it dialed in first. Okay, so we've now got all those things drawn. Looks like we need to do a little bit of fixing right in here. And there is a 3. Now, it looks like this little curve here is a little bit jacked up, so let's see if we can tame that a little bit. Like so, and then what do we got to play with down here? Okay, close enough. So then if we go ahead and switch back here to the main selection thing, we can go ahead and just do some infilling here and see what it looks like. Voila. If we go to view, outline, we can see it looks like a 3. It looks like a nasty 3, but so does the actual marking itself. So that is basically it. It is a matter of using the pen to draw points around a shape. And then if you need to, using the curve tool, so converting one piece to a curve and grabbing these handles and shifting it however you need to. Now this can easily, as you can see here, get way out of hand. So small movements, the undo button is your friend, etc. But that's pretty much it. And then at the end of it, you get to something like this, where you have a whole bunch of masks, all designed and cut and ready to go. They have little squares around each of them. And so this is where it gets into sort of design and mask thinking of how will these be applied. For example, I have the anti-glare panels so that they can be pulled out and applied directly on the model itself, and then these side pieces can be placed alongside, and then the panel masks themselves pulled up to paint the anti-glare. But on the back one that goes around behind the canopy, I've left some space so I can easily mask that little converging point right there. Or if you look at the large Hinomarus here, they are laid out on top of home defense bands so that I have the width and I don't have to worry about getting them placed properly. Or up here with the tail flashes, this is the actual tail flash that will be painted blue or red or whatever color I decide to interpret, but this will not be used as the actual mask. This will be used as a placing mask, and then these two elements here will go sort of directly behind them and be used to actually mask off the tail when I paint whatever this color is going to be. So there's a bit of thinking in how the mask will actually be applied, but that's something that comes with experience using masks and using Illustrator. For the purposes of this though, now that you know how to import a JPEG into Illustrator and use it for actually tracing things, hopefully that will make your job of creating your own masks a lot easier. And I forgot one more thing to showcase here. Once you have these masks sort of built on top of the decals and you don't want the decals showing up everywhere, go to your layers panel and click this little eyeball next to layer, and boom, it will go away. And you know what? There's one thing here that we did not do. So this one I accidentally built in the actual layer for the JPEG. So let's go ahead and place that somewhere else. And put it back where it was. Okay, so now when we get rid of the layer, that 3 remains, the anti-glare panel remains, and the large Hinomaru remains. So basically you can turn this on at any moment. You know, if we go back here, there's the original layer. So it was a matter of drawing everything, cutting it, and moving it around. But that is pretty much that, and from here, once you have everything laid out, and assuming you are not using the latest and greatest version of Illustrator, you can then go to Silhouette Connect and send this to Silhouette Connect if you buy that plugin, and all this stuff on Illustrator, whatever you have up on the screen and sort of visible in the layers here, will get sent to a Silhouette plugin that will let you cut this stuff as vinyl masks. So that is that, and I hope this was all useful, and now I have to figure out how to get it from the screen capture software into Premiere Pro so I can get it edited. But thank you for watching, and I hope that this proves useful, and I will check you later.